Yes, Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. When I dial my baby's number, I get a click every time. Oh, we're filming?
I can't believe you just did that.
It's my Ronald phone. This looks like the most awkward phone in the world to sit there and use. Just like, hello? Like that. And
Yeah, especially with that silly bass.
And you could accidentally mash the buttons with your face. But anyways, we are having a discussion. And today we're talking about FOMO.
That's FOMO.
FOMO. Fear of missing out. It's an acronym for fear of missing out. And it ties in with something that we talk about quite a bit, actually, and that is artificial demand market in toy and action figure collecting. There's a lot of these toy companies, they thrive on the artificial demand. That's why they have repaints and chases and exclusives and all sorts of things like that. It's gotten to the point where now, like, exclusive is a dirty word. People don't even want to hear it. They're like, oh, it's exclusive. I'm not going to get it. They already know. But it's done on purpose. These companies do it on purpose because you remember back in the day, and I've brought this up several times, KB had a ton of exclusives. KB Toy Stores, especially with Toy Biz, they had a really good contract with Toy Biz where they would make exclusive Toy Biz action figures, you know, X-Men and stuff like that. And they were just repaints. But if you went to KB, you'd find them. They would have tons of them in KB Toy Stores. So it's artificial demand. They do it on purpose. And FOMO ties in with that, fear of missing out. Because basically what that is from the buyer's perspective, they feel like they lost out on something already. And they don't want it to happen again. So they go out and they look at something and they're not sure. They come across it on the shelf or whatever. And they're like, I don't know if I want to bother with this. But they remember how they regret not getting something in the past because they figured it would still be around. Mm-hmm. And then they go ahead and get it anyways. And it may not be something they even really wanted. And that happens a great deal. And you see this a lot. And sometimes it's not even for the right reasons. It's because something has gone up in value. Something you didn't get before suddenly is selling for quite a bit. And you're like, wow, that went up a lot. I lost out. Did you really lose out if you didn't want it? Just because it's worth more? Than if you're buying stuff with the intention of only putting a monetary value on it because you might be able to sell it later. Is that really collecting? You know, I beg to differ. But Funko is a great example of this. You know, we pick on Funko a lot.
You pick on Funko a lot.
Well, yeah, I do. Because it's easy. It's easy because of the sheer volume of releases. They put out so much that their attempts become pretty obvious. You know, the whole chase thing becomes obvious. Repaints and the what they now call sticker chasers, because it's the exact same figure, but it's got a different sticker on it. You know, the sticker from SDC is not the same as the shared exclusive sticker.
And the value is way different.
Yeah, there can be big drastic differences sometimes in the values on those. And so Funko is kind of easy to pick on because there's so much merchandise they crank out literally every week that you could point it out easy with them. And as I've mentioned before, the Pops, they haven't been around that long. I think they've only been producing them like this is what, their 11th year. I think they started making the Pops in 2010.
I'm not sure.
And up until about the beginning of 2015, it wasn't a big deal. You know, it was slowly picking up steam, but Pops weren't a big deal. They didn't make very many. And as a result of their not producing very many, and now the sudden interest in the market, people going back and wanting earlier edition Pops or pre-mass production Pops from before 2015, a lot of those can be pretty expensive. because of the supply and demand. They didn't make many, people are looking for them, price goes up. And that's a good example of FOMO, because now people are sitting there thinking, wow, it could go up like those original pops did. Not really, because those original pops, the reason that they're up so much is because they didn't make very many. How many are they making now? They're cranking them out. Even the exclusives, they're making tons of. They rarely put numbers on anything anymore. They're putting numbers on the sodas, but other types of exclusives, just because it's a Hot Topic exclusive or a box lunch exclusive, which is practically the same thing, same company,
Different sticker.
yeah, different sticker. Whatever the exclusive is, GameStop, it doesn't mean that it's a limited run by any means. So again, that's that artificial demand. It's like, oh man, I better hurry up and get this. And then months later, they've got 500 of them on clearance.
Well, I think that's what people are doing now with like the Migos, the new Star Wars, and G.I. Joes, the Masters of the Universe. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy one for myself and 3 or 4 others just to store. So hopefully in 10, 20 years, it'll be worth something like the original. Because you find an original He-Man now, and it's going for $300-$400, and they're thinking, okay, these reissues in 20 years might go for the same. So
I think He-Man's a little more than that.
Well, yeah, but you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But that's a mistake, anyways. Different topic of discussion, and we brought this up in the past. But back then, we opened everything. That was the action figure culture. The action figure culture no longer exists. It's us now, remembering and having nostalgia for that era in pop culture. So back when Masters of the Universe was on the shelves in your local toy store, and they were like 6-8 deep on a wall that was like 20 feet long in Bradley's and Kmart and Toys R Us and wherever, there was tons and tons of it being made. But the kids opened almost all of it. If 95+% of them were opened, you're going to be hard pressed to find a sealed example. Even a sealed example that's in kind of rough shape is hard to come by. And because they were not only opened but played with, finding a loose, complete mint or near mint example is also hard. And in sharp contrast, where now, you brought up Mego, and that's a good example, where 95% of them will never be opened. And they will remain in pristine condition. You're going to be hard pressed to find a sealed new Mego figure that the package is in rough shape. And you'll be hard pressed to find one that's opened. I mean, some people will open them, but it's not happening. And a lot of people are leaving them sealed because of the value of the originals having gone up so much. But again, the value on the originals have gone up so much because supply and demand, you can't find them sealed. You can find plenty of the new Migos sealed. You can find plenty of the Masters of the Universe Origins or Classifieds sealed. But you can't find very many original Motus still on the card or in the box, or even in decent shape. And that plays into the modern artificial demand model also. I think a lot of the new stuff that's being made, it's not going to hold value. And a lot of it is artificial demand, sometimes because of something the company did, and sometimes because of scalpers or what they call flippers, people who go out and deliberately buy all of it, all of a certain run of a particular figure to push the demand up. And then which also feeds into the FOMO discussion, because then you're like, oh, it's on the shelf now, I better grab it because some 55-year-old guy is going to come down this aisle any minute with a shopping cart and empty this whole rack into his basket and then put it on eBay. And you're like, oh man, and then they, I don't want to pay 4 or 5 times the price for this. And you shouldn't have to, because it should be on the rack. And also keep in mind that the toy companies are making far less of these things, even though they're producing more in terms of like figures and lines. I mean, how many different companies are making G.I. Joe figures right now? How many different companies or different incarnations of Masters of the Universe figures are there right now? You got the minis, and you got the origins, and you got the revelations, and then you got the Mondo 1/6 scale, and who is it? Loyal Subjects. They might be making another one. How many different incarnations do you need? Honestly, when back in the day they only made one. That was it. Hasbro made G.I. Joe, and that's all there was. And they had a couple of foreign subsidiaries, and there might be a couple of packaging variations or a different paint scheme, and that was just because it was done in a different country, not on purpose. Nowadays they do that mess on purpose. How many different times can you, we've said this plenty of times, how many different times can you repaint the costume on a wrestling figure and put it out on the shelf as a new figure? How many John Cenas are there? I've seen people's collections where they've got looks like 40, 50 of them, all different. But it's the same figure, just painted a different way or in a different type of packaging. It's like, come on. But people go into that and they're afraid they're going to lose out. They're afraid they're going to miss something. And that's what that FOMO is, fear of missing out. And it feeds into the artificial demand model, and it helps these companies really to take advantage of consumers. And they really are. We talked a lot about that in the last video, about how a lot of these companies are, especially with their pricing, and how they don't follow the model of manufacturing. Remember, we talked about the three models of manufacturing and how modern toy companies really aren't following any of them and getting away with it and raising their prices constantly. But that's, it's important. It's an important thing to consider, because you shouldn't let it grow on you, I guess I could say. And I can use the video or the song Gangnam Style. Remember Gangnam Style, that Korean song? It's a terrible song. It's a stupid video. And people will say, or did say at the time, because it's almost been kind of forgotten now, I didn't like it at first, but it kind of grew on me. It grew on you because they played it constantly everywhere. You couldn't get away from that song. After you've heard it about the 100th time, you kind of get used to it, even if you don't like it. It grew on you. Don't let action figures grow on you. Don't sit there and say, I don't really like it, but I'm going to get it anyways because I might miss out, or because it might be worth something, and then you get something you don't really want. And I think too many people do that. Too many people do that, and they end up with a lot of stuff that they want. Picking on Funko again, because I've seen this on unboxing videos. A lot of people who collect Funko, they do these unboxing videos, and they go through them so fast, don't they? Some of them, where they have like a case, massive case, and they're like, yeah, I got this one, and 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 you can't even barely see what they're showing you. And plenty of times we've been watching these videos, and you might remember this, where they hold one up and they were like, yeah, I didn't really want this one, but it was cheap, and it goes with the other set that I have, and I figured since I had them anyways, I'd go ahead and get it. You just said you don't want it. You just said you don't want it. You just said you don't like it, but you bought it anyways. That's a regrettable purchase. You're going to look at that at some point in the future and say, what the hell did I get this for? And again, if you're thinking about getting rid of stuff, a warning, and again, something that we've talked about, don't just get rid of it, pack it away for a while, and then when you open that box or tote back up, then you'll know if you really want it or not. Because one of two things is going to happen. You're going to open the box up and you're going to be like, hey, I remember this. And that means you probably want that. Or you're going to open it up and say, what did I get this for? When did I get this? You probably don't want that. But a year or two later is not the time to figure that out. Especially since you might not get what you are hoping for or expecting out of it. So a lot of that stuff does not go up. A lot of that stuff does not retain its value and can be difficult to get rid of. And things are going to get harder here soon with selling, especially on eBay. If you own eBay stock, you may want to get rid of it because things are going to get real ugly in eBay. It's already bad enough with the higher shipping rates and paying taxes on everything now. Buyers and sellers are paying more taxes, and it's going to get more hairy. Another topic of discussion, because now the government's trying to put a regulation on them by which they report all total sales of $600 or more to the IRS. And that is, if you earned $600 like all year, they're gonna make a report as like sales. So that's another dirty little finger in everybody's pie there, as the song goes. And most people selling on eBay, they're not dealers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just want to get rid of.
They're just trying to get rid of some things, and that's another way they'll be taken advantage of, and they're not going to want to bother. So, like I said, it's another topic of discussion. We might get to that at another time, but yeah, don't make regret purchases. If you don't like it, it doesn't catch your eye, and I know that's hard also because most people are completists, but that concept of fear of missing out on something because you didn't buy it and it went up in value, or because now you're into that and you're like, oh, I should have bought that when I had the chance. You can't let that drive your interest in making purchases, because you may end up with a couple of things that you're like, oh, I'm glad I got that when I did. But you'll end up with twice as many things where you're like, why did I buy that? And how do I get rid of it now? And don't put yourself in that position. Any thoughts on that?
No, not really. I mean, I think we all have fallen in that trap where you come to a point and you say, oh, I better get this now because usually it sells out quick or whatever. And then sometime it don't, and it goes on clearance, and then you get mad like, oh man, I thought I was going to miss out, so I got it. Or it's been times where you saw something and you said, okay, I'll come back in a week and get it, and then it's not there, and then that causes you to do impulse buying when you're not ready.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, in a week it won't be here, so I got to get it now. You know, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I can see it, and I know I've fallen for that plenty of times with different items. Yeah. Thinking that, oh, it'll be here in a week or two, and then it wasn't. So then the next time I jumped on it right away, or I jumped on something right away, and then it hung around in the store for months and went on clearance, and I'm like, oh man, if I waited, you know. So.
Yeah, so I just trying to reach out to the community and tell you to slow down and just think about it and try to make some more discerning decisions. And, you know, not telling you what to do, because, I mean, it's your money, it's your time, but you might get more out of it sometimes if you just slow down and think about it.
Yeah.
Basically. So any thoughts, you know, feel free to post it in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you get where we're coming from. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew, all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos. We do a lot more than just discussions. We do a lot for the nostalgia of the adult collector, the nostalgia of pop culture, in different ways.
In different ways.
Yeah, you might find something you like, and we hope you do. So, that being said, thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.